They call me cruel, heartless, a monster mom. I've read the comments. I've seen the looks at the grocery store, the whispered judgments at PTA meetings. I've had friends who once swore they'd always have my back suddenly go quiet when my name started trending. She left him right after the diagnosis, they say. Took the kids and ran while he was dying. And the worst part? No one ever asked why. Right now, I'm sitting in my car outside the hospice. My hands won't stop shaking, even though the engine's off. I've been parked here for 20 minutes, staring at the automatic doors like they might swallow me whole if I walk in. I know he's inside. I know time is running out. They say he doesn't have more than a day or two left. My daughter's in there too. My son. His family invited them, but not me. That's fine. I've made peace with that. What I haven't made peace with is the narrative. The one where I'm the villain in a Lifetime movie, the woman who abandoned her husband when he needed her most. The cold, selfish wife who couldn't handle watching her man fall apart. People love that story. It makes sense to them. Neat. Clean. Simple. But the truth? It's messier than that. Uglier. More complicated than anyone wants to believe. Because when Michael told me he had cancer, I didn't feel the grief a wife is supposed to feel. I didn't cry, or fall into his arms, or promise to stay no matter what. I felt trapped. I felt cornered. I felt like I had just received a life sentence, not him. And that night, I packed our kids into the car and drove away. No one understood. Not my parents. Not my friends. Not even myself, at first. I didn't explain because I didn't think anyone would listen. Michael was charming. Respected. The kind of guy who sent Christmas cards to neighbors and brought donuts to the office. No one saw what he was behind closed doors. But I did. So before you judge me, before you type that comment or roll your eyes, I want to tell you everything. I want to tell you about the man you think I abandoned. About the marriage no one saw. About what it really means to survive. And then you can decide. But let me ask you this first. What would you have done if you knew the full truth? On the outside, we were the perfect family. Michael, my husband, was everything a man was supposed to be, tall, well-spoken, handsome in that clean-cut, suburban way. People admired him. Envied us. Our house had a white picket fence. Our daughter Lily was 8, all freckles and glittery shoes, and Max was 5, obsessed with dinosaurs and morning cuddles. I used to be proud of the life we built. At least, that's what I told myself. The cracks didn't show right away. They never do. It started after Max was born. I left my job in marketing to stay home with the kids. Michael insisted it was the right thing for the family. He said it like a gift, but it didn't take long before he started treating me like I owed him something. At first it was small things, him questioning how I spent grocery money, telling me I should look more presentable for school drop-offs. Then it was him checking the mileage on the car. Limiting how often I could see friends. Rolling his eyes when I tried to talk about my day. He made me feel small. Like I was lucky he hadn't traded me in for someone younger, someone thinner, someone who still had ambition. He never hit me, I used to whisper to myself. As if that was the bar. As if that meant I was okay. But he chipped away at me, piece by piece. He made me doubt my memory. Made me apologize for things I never did. If I cried, he called me dramatic. If I pulled away, he'd suddenly turn sweet, buy flowers, make dinner, play the good husband for just long enough to confuse me all over again. I didn't know the term for it back then. Gaslighting. Emotional abuse. Coercive control. I just knew I couldn't breathe in my own house. And slowly, my world shrank. I stopped seeing friends, he didn't like them. I stopped calling my sister, he said she was a bad influence. I even stopped wearing certain colors, he thought red was attention-seeking. I started keeping a journal. Then recording his outbursts on my phone. Just in case. Just in case someone ever asked what really happened. Just in case I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. But no one ever asked. To everyone else, Michael was the dream husband. The funny, reliable guy who coached Lily's soccer team and volunteered at food drives. I was just the lucky wife. And I played along. Smiled at cookouts. Laughed at his jokes. Until the night everything changed. It happened on a Tuesday. The kids were already in bed, Lily asleep clutching her stuffed unicorn, Max curled under a dinosaur blanket. I was folding laundry in the living room, something mindless, something safe. Michael came in, sat down on the couch, and muted the TV. That alone was enough to make my stomach clench. He only turned off the noise when something serious was coming. "I need to talk to you," he said. I sat down, still holding one of Max's tiny t-shirts in my lap. He didn't hesitate. Didn't build up to it. Just said it like he was reading off a grocery list. "I have stage 3 colon cancer." The words echoed. Flat. Mechanical. Like he'd rehearsed them. I didn't cry. I didn't gasp or cover my mouth like in the movies. I just froze. I should have felt grief. Or panic. Or heartbreak. But what I felt, immediately, undeniably, was dread. Bone deep, suffocating dread. Then he smiled. A slow, knowing smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You're going to take care of me now," he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. As if my role had already been decided. As if I didn't have a choice. That's when I knew. This wasn't a tragedy to him. This was an opportunity. He saw his diagnosis as a leash. A way to tie me down permanently. Because who would leave a dying man? Who would take the kids and walk away from someone battling cancer? He was right, I'd look like a monster. That night, after he fell asleep, I sat in the laundry room for 2 hours and cried harder than I've ever cried in my life. Not because he was sick. But because I realized I was never going to be free. That even now, even with cancer growing inside him, he was still finding ways to control me. I looked around that dark, silent house and saw my future stretching out in front of me. Years of caregiving, of being called ungrateful if I sighed, of pretending everything was fine while I withered inside. And then, one day, he'd be gone. And I'd be left behind, hollowed out, still invisible. So I made a choice. I packed a bag. Just the essentials. Woke up Lily and Max, told them we were going on an adventure. My heart was racing. My hands shook. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not my friends. Not even my sister. Because I knew what they'd say. How could you do that to him? But no one ever asked what he had done to me. I thought I could just disappear. That I could quietly restart our lives in a new apartment, just me and the kids, and somehow outrun the fallout. But Michael made sure I couldn't. Within days, the story was everywhere, at least his version of it. "She took the kids and left right after I got diagnosed," he told people. Didn't even give me a chance to fight it. His family ate it up. His friends mourned his betrayal. And my phone started ringing with texts that didn't even bother hiding their disgust. My own mother said, "Lauren, how could you leave him when he needed you the most?" I had no answer she wanted to hear. The online hate followed soon after. Someone must have posted about it in a neighborhood group. Suddenly, I was the monster mom in Facebook comment sections and Reddit threads. Gold digger. Selfish witch. Unfit mother. They didn't know me. They didn't want to know me. I lost my part-time remote job when a client found the posts. They said they couldn't afford the association. Landlords stopped replying to my applications. I ended up sleeping on my sister's couch with Lily curled beside me and Max tucked under my arm, asking why our new home didn't have his nightlight. I told them it was just temporary. But deep down, I didn't believe it. Everywhere I turned, doors closed. And the guilt. It crushed me. Was I wrong? Was I truly the terrible person everyone said I was? Late at night, I'd stare at the ceiling and ask myself if I overreacted. If I could have endured it longer. If I should have stayed, for the kids, for the marriage, for the appearance of being a good woman. And then, one night, while rummaging through a box of scattered papers I'd managed to grab before leaving, I found it. A small black USB drive. I'd forgotten I even had it. Months before everything imploded, I started recording things, Michael's outbursts, his cruel jokes, the threats whispered through clenched teeth. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I'd never need it. But I needed it now. I plugged it into my sister's laptop with shaking hands. And then I heard it, his voice, sneering, mocking, crystal clear. You think you can leave? I swear, if you ever try to walk out, I'll ruin you. I'll make sure everyone sees you as the bad guy. My breath caught. Another file played. You're lucky I even married you. No one else would put up with someone like you. I sat there for hours, listening. Remembering. Crying. And for the first time in months, I felt the smallest flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long time, validation. The more I listened, the more I realized I hadn't imagined it. I hadn't exaggerated or twisted things in my head. It was all there, proof. File after file, I heard his voice in sharp, icy tones. You're nothing without me. Try leaving, and I swear I'll take the kids and tell the court you're unstable. I don't even have to hit you, Lauren. You're already scared of me. My hands trembled as I clicked through the recordings. And then, one file stood out. It was longer. Muffled at first. Like he didn't know he was being recorded. And in it, he was talking on the phone with someone, maybe his brother. Yeah, I've known for months. But I didn't want to tell her yet. I need her locked in. If she finds out too soon, she'll bolt. She's been different lately. Distant. Then he laughed. Don't worry. Once she knows I'm dying, she won't go anywhere. She'll feel too guilty to leave. I paused the audio and just sat there, stunned. He knew. He knew about the cancer months before he told me. He waited until I was isolated, broke, voiceless, until he had complete control. And then he played his final card, not as a confession, but as a weapon. He didn't want me to care for him. He wanted to trap me. He thought cancer would be his leash, I whispered aloud, the words chilling even me. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed up Googling legal aid resources, trauma therapists, anything that could help me build a case, not just for custody, but for my truth. I started therapy. I brought the recordings to a lawyer. She was the first professional who didn't look at me with judgment but with concern. She listened to the files with a stiff jaw and said, "You were being emotionally imprisoned. We're going to make this right." Slowly, I began to reclaim the narrative. I filed for full custody, this time with evidence. I got restraining orders against his more aggressive family members who had threatened me after I left. I started documenting everything: public harassment, online abuse, threats. The public still hated me. They didn't know the truth. Not yet. But I didn't care as much anymore. Because now I had the truth, not just for me, but for my children. One day, when they're old enough, when they start asking the hard questions, I'll have something to show them. Not to make them hate their father, but to help them understand their mother. To know that I didn't abandon a sick man. I escaped a cruel one. And I survived. I'm still in my car. Still outside the hospice. The engine is off, but the air inside feels suffocating. My phone buzzes on the passenger seat, another message from his sister. He's fading. If you want to say goodbye, it has to be now. The kids are inside. Lily brought a drawing. Max is too young to understand, but I know he'll remember pieces of this, the quiet, the sadness, the smell of antiseptic. They didn't want me there. His family made that clear. But they let the kids in, and I let them go. Not because I wanted to erase Michael from their lives, but because I wanted them to have closure. Because I've learned that pain passed down becomes a prison. I want more for them. I grip the steering wheel. My hands are clammy. I imagine walking through those doors. Sitting by his bedside. Hearing his breathing slow. Maybe even hearing him say sorry. But he won't. Michael never believed he did anything wrong. He took his secrets and his control all the way to the end. And maybe that's what I needed to finally admit something to myself. Closure doesn't always come from them. Sometimes, it comes from walking away. So I do. I start the engine. Not in anger. Not in revenge. But in peace. In something like forgiveness. Not for him. For me. For the girl who shrank herself for love. For the mother who protected her children even when the world spat on her name. For the woman who stopped surviving and finally started living, that I don't look back as I drive away. There's nothing left in that building for me. Just a body. Just a chapter. And I've turned the page. People will still talk. I know that. Maybe I'll always be the monster mom in their eyes. Maybe the comments will keep coming, the whispers will follow me to every parent-teacher night. But my kids. They know who I am. They know who I was. And that's enough. More than enough. So I leave you with the same question I've asked myself every night since I left. If it were your life, your sanity, your kids, would you have stayed?